Whether you're a struggling team that needs to make moves or you're a dominant team that's trying to get better, I got you covered. Here are some players that I think you need to go buy low on right now. And of course, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to let you know which players I would trade away to get these guys at fair value. Speaking of fair value, if you're getting any value out of our content, just ask really quickly. You take 1 second, hit that subscribe button down below. We're on the road to 100K. I know we can do it this year, but not without you. Help us out. Hit that subscribe button. All right, if you're one of those teams that I mentioned that's a dominant team and doesn't necessarily need to win right now, I think this is the perfect time to go make a move for CeeDee Lamb. He should be back potentially in week 7, maybe week 8 at the absolute latest. This is when I like to go pounce on these guys. If the player in your league has CeeDee Lamb is struggling right now, they need to win. They need players that can help them win right now. This is the time to take advantage. Go take advantage of that team that's, stressed out, thinking they're going to miss the playoffs, thinking they have to do something here, and go buy low on CeeDee Lamb. Now, I'm not going to say go send insulting offers. Please do not send insulting offers, but I think there are some players that are being valued slightly higher than CeeDee Lamb or right around CeeDee Lamb that I would trade away to get CeeDee Lamb. This is a guy I'm not going to dive into deep stats here. We know he's a stud. We know when he's healthy. He's one of the best wide receivers in all of fantasy, and Dak Prescott looks great. So you should have no reservations here. Once he's healthy, at this point in this landscape, he might be the wide receiver 1 in fantasy rest of the season. Well, maybe the wide receiver 2 behind Puka. And when we look at players being valued right around him or ahead of him that I would trade away to go get him, I would absolutely trade away Saquon Barkley for CeeDee Lamb right now. Look, Saquon Barkley does not look great. The Eagles offense does not look great right now. I'm not out on Saquon Barkley. I'm not saying like Saquon Barkley is going to be a bust or anything, but just give me the proven guy in CeeDee Lamb who's in a great offense that I can feel good about. Assuming, of course, you're okay at running back. I mean, don't trade away Saquon if he's your only good running back. But if you got running back depth, I'd be willing to move Saquon Barkley. I'd also be willing to move Devon Achane for the same reasons. If I got running back depth, I'm okay moving him for CeeDee Lamb. Look, Achane, he's getting it done in the receiving game. That's great. But, man, this Miami offense cannot run the football. This offensive line is a mess. I think Achane will still be good. Probably still be an RB1 this year, again, because of that pass catching. But, yeah, I would just take CeeDee Lamb at this point. And then if someone wants Jamar Chase after that huge game, maybe they need to win this week, and CeeDee Lamb's not going to help them win. Fine, give me CeeDee Lamb. I'm not chasing that big game from Jamar Chase last week. I mean, if you watch that game, it was absolutely a disaster for almost the entire game. It was really at the end when the Lions kind of, let up a little bit that Chase was able to have those big plays. And look, Chase is a good enough player to have those kind of plays, but wouldn't you just rather have CeeDee Lamb with Dak Prescott than Jamar Chase with Jake Browning? Me too. All right, moving down just a little bit more. Again, a couple of high-end players I think are being undervalued right now that can help your team. One of them can help you this week. One can help you long-term. That is Drake London and Bucky Irving. Let's start with Drake London. Right now, this guy is currently 9th in expected fantasy points per game, 7th in target share, 4th in first read percentage. Michael Penix Jr. looked much better before the team's bye week. They got a home game this week, not a tough matchup. I think it's going to be another good game for Drake London. I think the buy low window is going to close on this guy. Still a stud wide receiver, an absolute target monster. Go get Drake London right now. And then Bucky Irving, again, another guy here, going to be out with injury this week. Might even be more than this week. So if you're one of those teams who don't need Bucky Irving right now, this is a great time to buy low. If the team who does have Bucky Irving needs to start winning fantasy matchups, he's 9th in expected fantasy points per game among running backs right now. And don't forget, the Bucs were down 3 starting offensive linemen for most of the games Bucky played. Wirfs is already back. Luke Gadecki should be coming back off IR in a few weeks here. And he has a great playoff schedule. You look at it, they get the Falcons in week 15. That shouldn't scare you. Okay, Carolina week 16, their defense has been better, but come on, we're not scared of Carolina, right? And then the Dolphins in week 17. He could honestly be the highest scoring player in week 17. We just saw Rico Dowdle go for over 200 yards against this defense. Go get Bucky Irving if you can. And now when we look at players I'd be willing to trade away to go get these guys, again, I'm going to say Jamar Chase here. Like, coming off a big game, but man, I am still very nervous here. Jake Browning looks absolutely horrible. We can't bank on like a complete blown coverage and Jamar Chase making an incredible touchdown catch every single week. I think this is a good sell high time for Jamar Chase, honestly. I would also be willing to move Kyren Williams. Yes, again, coming off a monster game, I think this is a good sell high for Kyren Williams. I'm not out on Kyren Williams or anything like that. he's going to be fine, but I'd still prefer Drake London or Bucky Irving. And then sadly, I got to say the same thing about Nico Collins. Really thought he was going to smash this week against the Ravens, but CJ Stroud's really spreading the ball around here. He's not just, hyper targeting Nico Collins in this offense. So I'm not out on Nico. I think Nico will be fine. I would just prefer these guys over Nico Collins right now. And then moving down a little bit lower, guys that won't be quite as difficult to acquire through trades. I'm going to say right now, good buy lows: Breece Hall, Davante Adams, Brock Bowers. Start with Breece Hall. You look at it here in week 5, the first game without Braylon Allen. He had 15.7 expected fantasy points. That was 11th most among running backs. Handled 63% of the carries. I'd like to see that route number up a little bit higher, but I think it will be. I know the offense here is not the best, but Breece Hall still looks explosive. Yeah, he had that fumble, but he still looks explosive. He still looks good with the ball in his hands. I want to go take a chance on Breece Hall, especially Braylon Allen. They're saying could miss 8 to 12 weeks. Like, this is a good time to go get Breece Hall. And then we look at Davante Adams here. This is a guy I keep saying go buy low on. He's had nice games, right? But not that big game yet, but it's coming. I mean, he's 3rd in expected fantasy points per game. Yeah, Puka's 1, but I mean, he's still 3rd. 16th in target share, and he's 2nd behind only George Pickens in end zone targets. In fact, he is by far lapping Puka Nacua in end zone targets. This guy has touchdown upside every single week, so he gives you a very high floor, but I think he also has a ceiling that we haven't quite seen yet. And then finally, I think this is a great time to go buy low on Brock Bowers. I talked about it with Ashton Genty a couple weeks ago when I put him on the buy low before he had his breakout game against the Bears. I said, look, yeah, he might not be worth his first round pick. I mean, maybe Genty will be now. We've seen 2 straight games, but I said, here's the thing. You don't have to pay first round pick prices to go get him, because whoever has Ashton Genty is panicking and willing to sell him a little bit low. Well, that's kind of how it's going with Brock Bowers right now. Sure, he may not pay off a second round pick, but it's okay. You didn't take him in the second round, and it's not going to take a second round type of player to go get Brock Bowers right now. But you look at it, the usage is still great. He's 3rd among all tight ends in expected fantasy points per game, first read percentage, and target share. And despite missing last week, he still has 3 end zone targets, which is only 1 less than Jake Ferguson, who leads all tight ends. So look, maybe Brock Bowers is not going to finish as a tight end 1 this year. Maybe Brock Bowers is not going to win fantasy leagues this year. But it's okay, because you don't need to pay that kind of price to go get him right now. And when we look at guys I'd be willing to trade away, A.J. Brown. Look, if someone still believes in A.J. Brown, they want to take a chance on A.J. Brown, give me Breece Hall, give me Davante Adams, give me Brock Bowers here. And look, I love Cam Scatterbo. You know I like Cam Scatterbo, but in this Giants offense, Tyrone Tracy will eventually be back. I'd rather just have Breece, Adams, or Bowers. And then again, George Pickens. Look, George Pickens has been pretty good with CeeDee Lamb out, but CeeDee Lamb is coming back. And I think George Pickens, he'll be fine. He'll still be good with CeeDee Lamb, but it's going to hurt him a little bit. Go ahead, give me those other guys if I can. All right, let's move down a little bit more. Again, maybe you don't want to shoot so high, or maybe your league, it's not going to be possible to trade for those bigger name players. How about J.K. Dobbins and Jaylen Waddle? Look, J.K. Dobbins have been great this year. Rich Rebar put out these stats. 41.6% success rate, which is 17th out of 43 running backs who have at least 30 runs. 18.2% rate of going 10 or more yards, 3rd best. 14.3% stuff rate, 12th best. 27.3 first down touchdown rate, 10th best. And he's faced a 50.6% stacked box rate, which is 7th most. So he's done this despite facing stacked boxes. He's been very good. Outside of an injury, I don't think Dobbins is going away. And then in the first game without Tyreek Hill, we saw what this Dolphins offense could look like, and Jaylen Waddle looked great. Look, 13th in expected fantasy points in week 5, 9th in first read percentage, 15th in target share, and 8th in air yard share. But there's still people out there who just don't believe in this offense. They're like, it's Miami. It's not a great offense. But look, Waddle is going to be the guy. He's got, good upside on any given week. Should give you a very high floor now that Tyreek is out. So go buy low on these guys if you can. And players I would trade away, DK Metcalf. Look, he's coming off a nice game before the bye, right? He's been okay this year, but man, you can't feel good about DK Metcalf. He's not going to score an 80-yard touchdown every single week. Just give me these other guys. Same with Marvin Harrison Jr. Look, it looked like last week might be a big game. He had that big catch to start the game and kind of disappeared the rest of the game, and that's kind of what we've seen this whole season, right? It's outside of week 1. It's like he'll have his moments, but I worry that Kyler's going to hold him back from his true ceiling here. And then somehow, some way, if somebody is still trying to get Chase Brown, who for some reason is being valued right with these guys, hey, I'll get rid of Chase Brown. Look, he was okay this week, right? He's catching passes. It's not like he's a complete bust or anything, but yeah, I would rather just get rid of Chase Brown and take these guys. All right, now let's move down even farther to a couple of injured wide receivers. Again, if you're a team that doesn't need to win right now, you can wait for these guys to come back. I think it's a great time to go buy low on Terry McLaurin and Mike Evans. Now, I can't throw any great stats at you for Terry McLaurin. It has not been a good start to the season for Terry McLaurin, and of course, now he is hurt. But we still got to feel pretty good about Terry McLaurin in this offense long term. Jaden Daniels back and healthy. Looked fine on Sunday here. Look, when Terry McLaurin is back healthy, he's still a solid wide receiver 2 with weekly upside. But because he's missing games, hasn't had a good start to the season, his value has been very depressed. And then I guess Mike Evans, because he hasn't been playing and because Buka's been so good, I'm honestly shocked at how much his value is depressed because this guy was still looking good to start the season. Before his injury, he was 6th in expected fantasy points per game, 11th in air yard share, 6th in target share, and 8th in first read percentage. So unless we think like he's going to come back and be number 2 to Emeka Egbuka, which I have my doubts, look, it may be more of a 50-50 than we want, but for this Tampa offense, it doesn't matter. They chuck it. They throw it so much that they can support both of these guys in this offense. Go buy low on him while you can. And when we look at guys here, I would trade away Jordan Mason. I keep talking about Jordan Mason as a sell high. The window is closing. Look, he scored. He had a nice game again, but Aaron Jones is going to come back, and when he does, that's really going to hurt Jordan Mason's value. And also a couple rookie running backs here like TreVeyon Henderson. It doesn't seem to matter what happens, right? Fumbles, injuries, it doesn't seem to matter. And honestly, I got to say, like TreVeyon Henderson, he hasn't been great. He's been okay, but he hasn't been great. So I'm not sure, what's going to happen here. And I already talked about J.K. Dobbins. Like RJ Harvey, what's the path? The only path for RJ Harvey at this point is a Dobbins injury. He's been too good. Like they're not going to just start giving Harvey the ball more. Dobbins has been too good. If I could trade these guys away to go get Terry McLaurin or Mike Evans, and again, I'm a team that doesn't need to win right now, I'm doing that. All right, then finally, some low-hanging fruits. Ricky Pearsall and Jacory Croskey-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill. We've seen other rookies. Like we thought, okay, it's TreVeyon Henderson's time. Okay, it's RJ Harvey's time. Okay, it's Woody Marks' time. And then what happens? The coaches are like, nope, not yet. So people might still feel like, hey, it was just one of those games. He's a rookie. It's not his time yet. They think they're going to be selling high. Kind of what I said about Stephon Diggs on the buy low last week. Like somebody might think they're being smart and selling high. Whoops. I think that's what's going to happen with Bill here. I mean, not everybody. Some people are going to be like, no, I'm not trading them. But there are going to be some leagues out there where people think they're selling high on Bill. But I really think week 5 was a takeover. Look at the numbers here. 50.9% of the snaps. 14 carries. Chris Rodriguez only had 5. Ran the most routes. Tied for the team lead in targets. And it's not just that, like, okay, he had one of these games. It's the fact that he's actually been so good this year. Right now, Jacory Croskey-Merritt leads all running backs in success rate. And if you watch this guy, it's hard not to just be like, how do they not give this guy the ball 20 times? Well, I think we're there because remember, going into week 4, he was battling that knee injury, barely practiced, so we saw another split. But here, going into week 5, he was fully healthy. We saw him unleashed. I think this is it. I think he's just unleashed from here on out. I think he's an RB2 with upside every week going forward, and you want the running back in this offense. And then Pearsall, another great buy low right now, dealing with an injury. Sounds like he could be back this week, but he may not. We don't know. It's still early, but hopefully by week 7. But look at what he's been doing this year. He's 16th right now in expected fantasy points per game among all wide receivers. He's also 20th in first read percentage and 8th in air yard share. So look, Ricky Pearsall may not finish as a top 10 wide receiver, but it's okay. You're getting this guy for very little, right? You don't have to give up a ton to get this guy right now. So go buy these guys. I think they have plenty of upside, without a ton of risk necessarily. They can literally help you win a championship in the second half of the season. And then players I'd be willing to trade away for these guys. I already talked about RJ Harvey. If you can trade away RJ Harvey, do it. Jamison Williams, it doesn't look like it's happening for Jamison Williams. 1 target last week. Yeah, I'll take one of these guys. And then DJ Moore, it doesn't look like it's happening for DJ Moore this year. If I could trade away DJ Moore and get these guys, I'd rather just gamble on them, get DJ Moore off my fantasy team. All right, there you go. Those are some of my favorite buy lows heading into week 5. But look, you need to know more than just what trades to make if you're going to dominate in fantasy this year. Don't worry, we got you covered. All the videos you need for week 6 to win your matchup, you can find them in our playlist right here.